From the Ticats Audio Network, this is a Ticats This Week, built by Turkstra. Whatever your next home project is, build it better with Turkstra. Visit TurkstraLumber.com today.
Welcome to Ticats This Week. Great to have you with us. I'm RJ Broadhead, and with the Tiger Cats being 0-4, we had to change things up. So Tasker's out, Daly's out, Milton's out, and we're bringing in Rob Hitchcock. Great to have you on Ticats This Week. Are you excited?
Oh, are you kidding me? With you two on, and this is going to be the greatest time ever.
Courtney, Steven, we got a big week coming up. You're going to be with me in the booth and Ticats This Week. I can't wait for Sunday's game. How about you?
RJ, I've been practicing. Every game I've been watching, I'm just talking. My wife is like, can you please be quiet? I'm trying to watch the game. But I'm practicing. I'm ready, man. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's part of the role. And if Tiger Cats get a win, this could be the group. You know, we got to be superstitious here. We might have to keep this going on Ticats This Week.
I agree. I'm in.
You can't break up a good thing, man. You can't break up a good thing, especially when you're playing against a great team, because this week's opponent is definitely not going to come in here and lie down.
Hey, you're 100% true. That opponent's BC. The only thing that concerns me about the superstition is if they don't win, then maybe I have to be replaced. Maybe I'm the bad luck. So anyway, let's move on from that. So this week, Rob Hitchcock is going to be doing the pre-halftime and post-game with Bubba O'Neill, and Courtney Steven will be in with me. Mike Daly and Luke Tasker are taking some holidays. They're away this week. Must be nice. But we are in good hands with Hitch and Court. Let's start with the big news for the Tiger Cats. Is they fired special teams coordinator Paul Boudreau after 4 games, an 0-4 start. There's a few things you can look at on special teams statistically. No big play returns. They've allowed 4 big play returns. That squib kick against Ottawa, that's garnered some attention, I guess, that gave the Red Blacks pretty good field position and then ultimately ended up in the game-winning field goal. Let's start with you, Hitch. What did you think of the firing of Paul Boudreau as special teams coordinator?
Anytime a coach gets fired, 3, 4 games into the season, it's tough, right? Because you gotta, as a special teams guy and a guy who played, both ways on special teams, of course, and on defense. I was talking to you earlier, RJ. It's a will and a want to play. I mean, special teams is a third of the game, and if you're not giving it everything that you have on special teams, like running down on a kick or a punt or blocking someone that extra block downfield, Courtney, you can attest to this. Like, I haven't seen that this year yet. And that's not, coaching is one thing. I'm sure Paul had some great plays in, had some great schemes in. It's the players that need to step up and focus and go and play and play for him and play for the team, because you see it on the special teams. That's, kind of my opinion on that.
You agree, Courtney?
Oh, 100%. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I saw this coming a mile away, because special teams, you got to boil it down to the basics. And by the 4th game of the season, they had too many men on the field penalties than games played. And that's far too much for pro football. These guys are smart. They made it to this level, obviously, because they got the athleticism. A lot of them got the smarts. So it's a matter of making things simple and allowing your best athletes to be the best athletes they can be. And so when you're having guys overthinking and whatnot, they're not going to perform. And it's the fundamentals, really. You got to block, and we haven't seen big returns. That starts with knowing who you have and knowing what technique to use against them. So setting up Lawrence Woods III with 5-10 yards of space so that he can make one guy miss and then try to get a big return in the punt game or in the kick game. And then also open field tackling and just being aggressive. Like we used to tell ourselves, we got to be the first aggressor. You got to be the one who goes down there and initiates the contact. And if you're not willing to go out there and be aggressive, then maybe you should play a different sport or something, because last time I checked, they put on all these pads so that it's safe for you to go out there and hit people. And I think, who they're bringing in here to replace Coach Boudreau is going to have a task to realign that culture of the special teams, because last year they did phenomenal. In 23, special teams was great, and I think they want to get back to that form.
Carthel Flowers Lloyd. Go ahead, Hitch. Were you going to jump in there?
Just to jump on that a little bit more is, I think Courtney, what they got to do, the next coach that comes in, basically first thing he's got to say is look at yourselves in the mirror. and as a player and say, have you done everything that you can possibly do on those special teams? And if you haven't, take a look at it, because you're not going to be around here much longer. And that was an old coach that we had a long time ago, God rest him, Don Southern, who came in and said, and he was a huge special teams guy, and you have to be. I mean, special teams wins you games. And he basically said to us, if you're not going to give it all, look yourself in the mirror, and if you're not, then you're not going to be on this team. And I think, at this point, it's 4 games into the season, and we've got lots to talk about, but it's got to start this week.
Absolutely. I was just going to say Carthel Flowers-Lloyd was a special teams phenom in his rookie season last year, almost set the record for tackles in a season. He's been hurt and should be pretty close. We'll have the depth chart on Saturday and all the details with that on Tiger Cats Game Day with Courtney Stephen and Simone Lawrence. That'll lead you into the game itself, which will be at 7 o'clock kickoff, pregame show at 6. And it is at Tim Hortons Field, second home game of the season for the Tiger Cats. Dennis McKnight will be the special teams coordinator. He's 64, over 20 years of coaching experience. Most recently served as the offensive line coach in the XFL. He was with the Tiger Cats previously, and I think it coordinated with when you were playing, Courtney. Do you know Dennis McKnight very well?
I do. And you know what? He's the guy for the job here. I have a lot of confidence in him because, there's guys who can draw up the beautiful mind whiteboards and all that kind of stuff. But really what Coach McKnight does is he gets guys on the same page. He does a great job of getting people to buy in, and he's going to have these guys playing with toughness. And ultimately, like he said, I think that's what it's about at this point. You're backed up against a wall. Nobody's winning the Grey Cup in week 5. But at the same time, you have to draw a line in the sand and say, look, who are we going to be? And when you put the film on, your special teams represents the identity of your team. You're either going to be tough, fast, and physical, or you're going to be a team that folks are looking to take advantage of with, we're going to run trick plays because they're not disciplined, or we're just going to run our stuff right down the gut because they can't stop us anyway. You have to draw a line in the sand. I think Coach McKnight is one of those ones who's going to say, hey, guys, are we going to be, like you said, are we going to be tough? Are we going to be fast? Are we going to be physical? And you know what? A lot of it's on him to come and shape things up, but also there's going to be some veteran players who are also going to have to grab guys and say, look, we're going to do some team-only meetings, and we're going to make sure that we have our part done. Maybe it's the Ante Milanovic-Lutre, or maybe it's the Ternowski, or maybe it is CFL Cartel, who's bringing the guys together and saying, let's just look at some punt reps. Let's just look at some punt return reps day 1, day 2, day 3 after practice to just make sure we're really sharp going into the game, because the coach can coach you for 4.5 hours in the CFL. Everything else is on the players. And I think, there's going to be a little bit of both happening going forward.
I agree.
So McKnight joining the Tiger Cats on Wednesday. Game is Sunday. Is a few days a little too high of expectations to see many changes? Hitch, what do you think?
No, I think anytime you lose your coach and you get a new one in, you're going to want to go play for him right away. Again, just to show the success that you had last year. Again, Courtney, you were saying earlier that last year's special teams was phenomenal. They can get back there really quick, but like as you said earlier, get it back to the basics. Let's run down on kickoff, stay in our lanes, make a tackle, shed a block. The small little things. I always said this when I was coaching in hockey this year. I said to my guys, the U18 guys, I always said the little things will make you great. And they heard that from me all year long. And it truly is that little shed block, or releasing and getting down and making that shoelace tackle. Like, just the effort, I think, is the biggest thing that you're going to have to see this week. Bring it down to the basics, and I think you're going to see a big change.
Tiger Cats are 0-4, but they've been walked off twice. So game-winning field goals in 2 of those losses, heartbreaking losses. You get the same for losing on a walk-off field goal as you do losing by 30 points. Are losses that are that close tougher to take than being blown out, Courtney?
No. I'll tell you the truth. I'd rather have a fighting chance in the game. The worst thing is if you're in the game and it's the first quarter, you feel like it's already done. I've been on the field with guys who are quitting at times because they didn't feel like we could make it, and that's a place you don't want to be. But Thankfully, that's not the situation here. The Ticats record, obviously, you prefer that it was 4-0, 2-2, 3-1, anything other than 0-4. But this isn't a team that is bad all around. Of course, you find areas of improvement, but there's a lot of things to look at that you can build off of. Bo Levi Mitchell's one of the leading passers in the CFL. This guy has thrown for almost 300 yards in all games except one. And then you got, weapons all around. The first time that you got new receiver names at many different spots. You got young Canadians who are making plays. You got a defensive line with folks who are stepping in and making a name for themselves. So I think you start squeezing some of these interceptions that the Ticats defense has an opportunity to make. And then you start, managing these special team situations a little bit better. And all of a sudden, some of these games are swinging the other way. So starting fast, finishing strong, and capitalizing on turnovers. And, this is a completely different team.
Courtney, you called him Bo Levi Mitchell? Come on.
Oh, no. That's Bo 300, baby. You know it.
That's right. And he's living up to it. Another big game for Bo. You talked about some of the guys on offense, Courtney, and Tim White. There was a lot of talk about him through 3 games. Much different talk in the 4th game with 118 yards receiving. He had a touchdown. Hitch, are the concerns about Tim White's slow start over?
Oh, they have to be. Guy's an amazing receiver. So, I know that a couple little things. I think he was targeted, thrown to this year, I think about 38 times if I actually did a little research. So I think he was targeted
Nice.
38 times. So he's 18 for 38. Those are targeted. Those aren't drops. So those are, and I think last game, I think 118 yards last game. You know what? When you're a receiver at his level, his elite level, it's going to take a little bit of time. He's hoping, it depends on the defense as well, Court. You know this. They could be double teaming him. They could be sliding out protection on him, and he's not getting open. So the ball's not going to him. And so people are saying, we need to get him the ball. We need to get him the ball. Yeah, he had a couple of drops. That Saskatchewan game, what a heartbreaker that was. 30 seconds to go, and the ball was thrown low, and he turned and it kind of hit his leg and popped up in the air as interception. Then they lose by 3. So those are small little intricate part of the game, and it's still a loss. But he catches that ball, they make 2 more passes, they get a field goal. It could be a different outcome. But to answer your question, RJ, no, he's going to be just fine. He's one of the top receivers in the league, and I have no doubt this week that they're going to get him the ball, and he's going to have another great game.
It's funny when you go through his career now in his 4th year, Courtney, he has stretches where he doesn't have a lot of production and then just blows up and lights the world on fire for 3 or 4 games in a row. So maybe we're at that stage with Tim White. What do you think?
Well, it's just one of those things, too. This receiving core, they rotate and donate. It's different guys getting the ball. You got Keandre with 3 touchdowns. Then you got the new guy, Shemar, he pops up, he gets 3 touchdowns. So when one of them cool off, then maybe it's Tim's turn to pop up. You have Bell stepping in at running back when James Butler's out of the game. And that's the point of the CFL. 18 games, it's hard to be on for 18 games for the entire season. That's why you need to have a deep roster with lots of options. And when Tim White gets going, well, I don't know too many defenses that are going to be able to cover all of those options at the same time. So I just would encourage Ticats fans to, let's look at the big picture here and realize we have 14 games left in the season. Okay, teams are making the playoffs at 9-9 in the CFL. Montreal won like their last 8 games before they won the Grey Cup, right? So can we just be realistic about the situation? We gotta stop calling for people's head after a couple of bad plays amid the game. And that's another thing too, is I learned this as a DB. You gotta have a short-term memory. And I think Tim, he showed that he has that because it's 3 or 4 plays define the outcome of a football game is what they say, right? So if you have 2 or 3 inopportune plays, then that's going to define your game in the scheme of things and how people remember the game. But ultimately, those are 30 seconds of your day. You got to just clear the mechanism and get back to work because the next 2 or 3 plays can swing it in the other direction. I think Tim is swinging it in the other direction right now.
Yeah, and just to get back what you guys said earlier about, I just want to, if I got a little bit of time here, I know out of 4 games, the Cats, they lost by 8, they lost by 2, they lost by 3, and then of course by 16, I think. But what here I'm going with it is when 1997, I think we were 2-16, and we lost I think 9 or 10 of the games by like 2 or 3 points each. So it added up out of those 9 games. I think it was like 27 points on 9 games we ended up losing these by. So they're right there, as Courtney said earlier. Bo 300 is throwing for over 300 yards a game to get the rushing game going a little bit. But what I'm saying is, again, fans, let's not go for heads right now, because it's a long season to go, and again, you can make the playoffs with 8 and 10, and we're talking playoffs already. Guys are saying we should talk one game at a time, and I agree, but they're right there and they're going to be fine.
Long time ago, a coach told me one of the worst things you can have on you are expectations. And when people expect you to be successful, you sign a big contract, you lead the team in receiving 3 straight years. They want every game to be an exceptional game. But you guys are right. Tim White, I'm with you on that. He's going to be just fine. But what it has done is allowed Bo 300 to throw the ball to some other guys, and Shemar Bridges has really emerged. I've been looking at his second down receiving numbers, and we saw it a lot in that Ottawa game and the game before against Saskatchewan. He seems to be a guy who Bo wants to go to. He's a big target on those first downs, but the other thing I find is he's always right around that first down marker. If he needs 8 yards, he's not at 5 yards. It's I asked him about it, and he said, the play's drawn up. I said, come on, there's got to be a little Shemar in there, and he wouldn't take any credit for it, but it just keeps happening over and over. And how long until teams take him away on second down, Courtney? And will that open somebody else up?
Well, I'll tell you, Shemar Bridges is a tough cover. He's a big body, he is fast, and he runs great routes. The second down production shows you what kind of hands he has, because those are contested catches a lot of the time where they're in traffic. They might be option routes. There's a couple of guys who've played in the Ticats offense over the years who've made their careers off of the option routes. That's when you get to the line and basically, depending on the coverage, you're going to stop or keep going at a certain depth based on what you see, right? So that's where the success on second down comes. If it's man-to-man, keep taking it up the field. And if it's zone, shut it down and sit between these 2 defenders, and we'll get it to you quick. And I think that goes part and parcel with the footwork, which has been a big storyline for Bo Levi, whether it's him escaping out of the pocket, pretending to be Lamar, or if it's him staying in the pocket and throwing on time. Those 2 things go hand in hand on second down. Is Bo making smart decisions and either checking it down or getting it to receivers like Shemar Bridges on second down? Or is Bo, I think it was one of the best plays, okay? We were in field goal range, and instead of making an ill-advised pass, took a sack and we got a field goal. That's maturity. That's what you want from your quarterback, is you're managing the game and you're maintaining possession of the ball. And then when your guys are open, you're getting it to them on time. Shemar, running routes, big body, I like it. And if it's not there, smart decisions, that'll get us to live another down.
Yeah. I also think in timing, Courtney, when you said the timing part of it, I don't know if you guys remember a guy by the name of Danny McManus and Darren Flutie. I don't know if you guys remember those names or not.
Yeah, rings a bell.
But so, bringing those guys back into the mix is, I used to just love watching film and love watching them in practice, because, as you know, Danny had one of the quickest releases out there, and he would throw the ball on second and short before Darren even made a cut or Andrew made a cut. And those guys would be such in sync that as soon as he turned, the ball would be right there and he'd catch it. You can't cover that. Like, you just can't. So I see, Bo making those maybe quicker decisions and maybe getting that timing a little bit better, maybe getting rid of that ball a split second earlier and having him make that quick cut. And that's going to come in time with these receivers. And I tell you, if that happens, it would be unstoppable, because it was way back in the day for us. You couldn't stop those 2.
And you know what else? You got to give credit where credit's due, because it's so easy to talk about people and things when it's going wrong. But Scott Milanovic has put this offense together. Yeah. This offense is productive. This offense is on rhythm. And as time goes and they get more comfortable and he's able to build out more of what he's installed during training camp, you're going to see, like, it's no fluke that Bo is throwing on rhythm. That's obviously something he's being coached to do. And in 2023, we weren't seeing it the same way. So the decision-making, the timing, and, of course, the schemes, I think that Scott Milanovic, we need to, say his name while he's doing something well. Obviously, you want to get in the win column. We know that. But we're here to talk about the nuance. And I think the offense is taking leaps and bounds from last year.
Yeah, great points. So Shemar Bridges has a touchdown in 3 straight games. Hitch, tell me it's talked about to keep this streak going. I asked Shemar and he said, no, we don't talk about it. He doesn't think about it unless he's asked, but come on, players have to talk about it, don't they?
I'll tell you, good teams, they don't care. They just want to win. They want the win on the board, right? It's great. You can get 5 touchdowns a game and they lose the game. The team's not happy, and of course the player's not going to be happy losing the game. But you know what? You get him the ball, he's scoring touchdowns. If he's open, you get it to him, and that's just how, bottom line, it's a W. And if you don't get that W, it doesn't matter about any accolades. So at least in my opinion, at this point, let's get the win, and touchdowns will come.
Okay, so I actually, that it seems unanimous. I threw that to Mike Daly and Luke Tasker last week with Keandre Smith, who had a touchdown in 3 straight, and he didn't end up getting one against Ottawa. They said, no, it's not talked about. Courtney, come on.
Well,
No.
all the individual awards go to the teams that win. So if you ever go to the awards banquet at the Grey Cup, it's whatever teams are in the Grey Cup are getting half of the awards anyway. So team success is a prerequisite to individual success. That's something Coach O always used to tell us. So don't worry about it. You'll get your checks in the mail at the end of the year if you do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, Coach O's got good lines like you, Courtney.
I stole all my lines. I stole all of them.
As things change, Court, you guys get paid at the end of the year to get paid weekly.
Oh, no, we're talking about all-star bonuses, baby.
Oh,
All-star
the bonuses. Yes.
There we go.
I didn't have too many. I may have had a couple in my contract. I got stiffed a few times. Ben Cahoon got me a couple times. I was mad at him, but that's okay.
Happens to the best of us.
I hear you, buddy.
Yeah, well, and I think you do some contract talk on Morreale and Hitch on the Ticats audio network over the years, right? So if people want to go back, they can watch some Morreale and Hitch episodes.
They can. 29.5 was my first contract.
$29,500
was my first contract in '95, and you'll love
You must
this,
have really
guys.
wanted to play.
Yeah, I got an agent, and my dad's like, "You need an agent," so I got an agent, and I didn't need an agent because the base salary was $29,500. I had to pay him 3%. So I actually made less. It was a great. Thanks, Dad. God rest my dad. Thank you, by the way. Appreciate that. Got home $27,000. I was broke by February, but it was fun.
That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
So this back to this 0-4 start with Ottawa, losing to Ottawa. That's really odd how the schedule worked out, because the previous 2 seasons, Tiger Cats' first win came against the Red Blacks, and I think a lot of people, including myself, a lot of the fans thought, okay, the Red Blacks are the cure-all for the Tiger Cats, and it was a close game, but Ottawa scored as many points in the fourth quarter as they did in the previous 3, and the Tiger Cats have had a lead heading into the fourth quarter in 2 of the 4 games, have not been able to close out. Courtney, are you at all worried about the fourth quarters and not being able to close out these games yet?
Well, I think it's a matter of big plays are not always a factor of what you actually do, but it's about timing as well. Sometimes it's just a regular routine tackle, but it's a situation. Or it's just catching the ball. You don't have to make a diving one-handed catch for it to be a big play. It's about timing. And so in the fourth quarter, everything is magnified. All the opportunities for big plays are opportunities for really big plays. So I think they just need to get off of the field on second down. That's number one. And they did that a few times. They had Ottawa backed up in their own end at one point. They were able to get a 2-and-out. That transitions into, a field goal for the Ticats on a following drive. And in the fourth quarter, you have to be able to put those kinds of sequences together. Punt, pin the opponent, then go 2-and-out, 4-and-out at the max, and then get the ball back to your offense with better field goal or better field position. So in the fourth quarter, I'm looking for the Ticats to start forcing some turnovers and some 2-and-outs, because that will translate into being in a position to control the clock and control the game.
Yeah.
Go
Sorry,
ahead, Hitch.
Yeah, I was going to say, how about put together first, second, and third quarter, so you don't have to be in a position in the fourth, right? So, and I don't, no disrespect. I mean, to put a perfect game together is very difficult, but to win, 3 out of the 4 quarters, you're usually in a pretty good spot. And then again, the sense of urgency, Court, is, and RJ, I think a sense of urgency in the fourth quarter, just to, don't try to make a great play, as you said, as you alluded to. Don't try to make that diving catch. Just catch the ball, secure it, get down. Let's go. Let's keep the down sticks moving. And that's what good teams do, is they find a way to win and not find a way to lose in the fourth.
Yeah. One thing I was looking at before we started Ticats this week, and again with Rob Hitchcock and Courtney Stephen, I'm RJ Broadhead, CFL rankings came out, and Winnipeg ranked number 9, Ticats are number 8, and then number 7 are the Ottawa Red Blacks. Ahead of them are the 0-4 Edmonton Elks. If I'm the Red Blacks with 2 wins, a 2-1 record, tied for second in the East Division, they're getting a little disrespected here, aren't they?
They're not worried about the noise.
I don't know what that's about. To me, that's a hangover from a previous season. But we don't really pay attention to what they do at the league, anyways, because sometimes what they do doesn't make any sense.
I don't think they know what they're doing either.
Well, I think they know what they're doing, so I'm gonna, just calm the waters here. And
yeah.
There you go. Appreciate that. Put that tip in the jar for me in case we get fined.
Yeah, I'm trying to save it.
Love it.
The 2 quarterbacks this should be an exciting game. Of course, next game is Sunday, another Sunday night game for the Tiger Cats. It's a home game, so get out to Tim Hortons Field and let's support the Tiger Cats going for that first win. BC Lions are their opponent, and the Lions are hosting the Grey Cup, so we know where they want to be and what they're building toward. But when you look at the statistics, Vernon Adams leads in passing yards, and Bo Levi Mitchell is second. Could this be an air show, Hitch, on Sunday with a ton of passes and a ton of big plays?
Well, I think so. It has all the makings of that, but again, it's getting down to the basics and getting one win and putting a rushing, getting the ball on the ground and getting that 4 or 5 yards on first down and not having a 2nd and 10 short or a 2nd and long for Bo. It's gonna. Their defense, I've watched them a couple times this year. BC's no joke. They've got a tough defense. They're flying around on special teams, and their offense is moving the ball. Big plays. Vernon VA is throwing that ball down the fields to Hopkins. Like they're making some really big plays, and he's airing it out and not afraid to. And again, Court, their offensive line is protecting him, and when he's so versatile and can move out of that pocket so quickly, the Cats are going to have to close him in tight, keep the ends nice and tight, and keep him in that box, and let him step up in the box and hopefully get hit. But it could be a good shootout. But you know what? For the Cats, let's not, if they start throwing the ball, 40, 50 yards down the field and completing it, let's not match it. Let's just go nickel and dime down the field and do our job.
That's it. When you get a fat pitch, you got to hit it. But other than that, just get on base, keep getting on base. And VA is how this team goes, right? So if you're able to get pressure on him, that'll be a big factor, especially because they do like to have that vertical passing game that allows the pass rush to develop. So balance the lanes. If you get out of your rush lanes, like meaning 3 defensive linemen on one side of the center, well, he's going to step up in the B gap, and then it's off to the races. So you better hope the linebackers have their eyes in the backfield too to cap off some of those scrambles. Otherwise, he'll kill you with the feet. So it's going to be a great game. I think, if you're a CFL fan, this is what you want to watch. This is the kind of game that you look forward to.
So statistically, Vernon Adams leads the league in passing yards. You've got Alexander Hollins as the leading receiver in receiving yards, and William Stanback is the number 2 running back in rushing yards. And you can throw Justin McInnes in the receiving too. He's 4th overall in the CFL. So my defensive guys here with me on Ticats this week. Courtney, is this going to be the Tiger Cats' toughest test defensively against the Lions?
I mean, it's a tough test, but also for a team that throws the ball a lot, as a DB, I got to be saying to myself, I'm going to get a chance to get my hands on the ball because I'm at the back. Stavros Kazantonis is the quarterback of the defense, so let's talk about him for a second. This is a guy who can roam numbers to numbers, and as long as they're able to disguise what they're doing before the play and force Vernon Adams to diagnose after the ball is snapped, then they have a chance to create those turnovers they've been lacking. It's not always about just calling the perfect play. It's not like chess where things move one thing at a time. Everything in football moves in unison at the snap. So a great quarterback can diagnose on the move. You have to force VA to be a great quarterback, not just somebody at practice dropping back and throwing the targets, but somebody who's reading and reacting to moving parts on the defense. And I think Stavros, Jamal Peters, get with, Richard Leonard, get with the other DBs. Let's confuse this guy. Let's work
Bait
to
him.
make him, bait him. Make him think that the short part of the field is open and then take it away at the last second. Let him show him cover 4 because we've been playing some cover 4 and then play cover 3. Like just switch it up and make him have to beat you with his mind because he has that physical abilities. Force him to beat you with his mind.
Yeah, couldn't have said it any better. Like we said earlier, he is gonna throw the ball, and he's not afraid to throw it down the field. So bait him a little bit. If you're a safety, you got trips on the field side, shoot over to the left side a little bit and just bait him, and then run over there and either get a kill shot on the guy or you're gonna make an interception. Those are some real keys, and especially with the defensive linemen and linebackers, like stem around. Linebackers come up on the line of scrimmage, fake like you're coming. Defensive linemen move at the last, get into another gap at the last second. Like little things like that will definitely confuse quarterbacks, and it'll confuse the blocking scheme as well. We did a lot of that. I mean, sorry to bring up the past. We did this 25 years ago.
Bring it up, baby. Bring it up.
Hey, 25 years ago,
You got a ring.
We were doing this, and it worked. Like we moved around. Our defense and linebackers were like 7 guys along the line of scrimmage. Last second, we bail out. Just the small little, again, the little things that can help make a play and help confuse a blocking scheme, or help, that receiver might come down and try to chip off the end because he thinks it's going to be a blitz. Like the small little things like that could make a big difference on the defense.
So, Hitch, that would be great to see, but there's been so many changes on this Tiger Cats defense. How much did you have to play with guys to have movement like that?
You don't have to, like, stemming around, you don't need to play with guys. Like, you can, as a linebacker, as a will linebacker, I could walk up to the line of scrimmage. Like, they know, put it this way, quarterbacks knew when you're coming and you're not. They're standing there and you're all getting ready to go, and they know that you're not going to come, but at least you're there. You're a presence. The offensive line are thinking, okay, maybe he's coming, maybe he's not. I got to get this gap. It changes the blocking scheme. It actually does. If you stay in there for a split second. Now, mind you, if you're late getting out of there to your drop in a zone, that ball gets out to the flat. That's your zone. You better get out there. And so there's the small little things as well in the terms of that. But you got to be in your position. You got to be able to make the play. But confuse the D. Play some. The defense can play quarterback as well, and just try to confuse these guys in schemes and hit the receivers. Hit them. I don't see there's a couple nice hits this year. I haven't seen a lot of really good hits that I like to see.
yeah. Put the pads on somebody. Put the pads on.
Yeah, hit someone.
Yeah, check out the Rob Hitchcock highlight reel, and there's some guys that aren't sure what stadium they're in after they get hit by Big 42. Yeah. 0-4 start. This will be the 5th game of the season. We're getting close to a third through the regular season. So the clock is ticking. Courtney, are you worried about this winless start, or is there lots of time yet?
I went to 2 Grey Cups, and like cumulatively between the first 6 games of the season, I think we're like 0-6 and like 1-5. You end up going to Grey Cup. Like I was saying, nobody's won the Grey Cup yet. So you got 2 other teams that are also 0-4 in the league. Like, guys, it's all settled down. Just go out there and play ball. The ball's going to bounce your way. And you just got to be ready when it comes, though. You can't be feeling sorry for yourself because nobody's coming to save you. You got to buckle up, go out there, hit somebody, like Hitch said. And when you hit somebody, good things happen. So just put the pads on somebody and be ready when the ball comes your way.
Coaches,
I think you've mentioned it, Hitch. The 8-10 making the playoffs. It's definitely possible.
Coaches, yeah, exactly. But coaches hate to hear this, and I'm going to say it anyway. But what everybody says, fans, as a player, you're never thinking this. Of course, you want to win every single game, but the playoffs start Labor Day, right? It's as much as you're not going to go 0-9, right? But you still go 9 wins after that. You're in the playoffs, right? So everyone always says, it starts in September, but you got to get a couple under your belt, before then. And there's lots of time left. And I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen this Sunday against a really good team.
Well, BC would be a good victory for any team, including the Tiger Cats. They'd love to get that first win of the season. Pre-game show is at 6 o'clock on the Ticats audio network, ticats.ca/listen. And Rob Hitchcock will be on the pre-game show, halftime, and post-game show with Bubba O'Neill. And Courtney, Steven, and I will have the call of the game. Kickoff is at 7 o'clock at Tim Hortons Field. It is important for the Tiger Cats to get a victory. 0-4 start. The BC Lions are one of the top teams right now. So this would be a chance to springboard the season. On Ticats this week, Hitch, Courtney, great job, guys. Hitch, has anyone told you what time the pregame show starts and what time you have to be there?
They said
or are you just finding out now?
They said to show up for 6, so I think you just told me, so I'll be there, guys. Thanks.
And Courtney, you going to have some of your lines? Are we going to hear a few Bo 300s?
Hey, you never know. I just go off the cuff. But RJ, you give me creative license to say what I gotta say, then we'll be all good.
You got it. You got it. Hitch, Court, great chatting with you on Ticats this week, and looking forward to the game on Sunday.
This has been the Ticats This Week, built by Turkstra. Whatever your next home project is, build it better with Turkstra. Visit TurkstraLumber.com today. Like and follow the Ticats audio network on Spotify, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast content, and get a deeper understanding of your Hamilton Tiger Cats.